So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Fantasy Sports and Politics. It's me, Mr. FSP, doing what I do because I do it for you all day, every day. And just like in the opening, you know, it's not about your personal beefs. It's about what the people think. So with that being said, today's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about week 2. Issues going on in leading up to week 2. Christian McCaffrey, is he going on IR? They could let us know today, probably tomorrow. But I hate to say it, but it's true. Jerry was right. CMC is not going to be that dude this year. Now, if he goes on IR, that means he's going to miss 4 additional games from the 2 he's missed. So that's 6 games. When he comes back, he'll have 11 games to play. If they put him on IR now, and it's only a 4-week thing. But will he be as effective? And this kid, Jordan Mason, I think it's his 3rd year in the league. He's showing he can carry the load so far. I'm going to talk about a trade that me and the old man made in a league or two that put me on to Jordan Mason because we both thought Garcia was going to be the backup, the young rookie out of Louisville. But Mason seems to be the guy. Glad I got him. Unfortunately, a rival, a crybaby rival, and yes, I'm going to call him a crybaby rival because he's a crybaby, and he's not going to show his face today in the league, picked him up. And it was a great pickup for him. I'm not sure if he drafted him or he got him after the fact, but he's also a 49er fan. But with that being the case, we're going to talk about that. How soon will Brandon Ayuk turn into form? This whole thing in Cincinnati. Is there something wrong with Joe Burrow's wrist? Well, T. Higgins is doubtful. Looks like he's not going to play again. He got the hamstring injury 2 days before the season started. 2 days. I don't think he's faking it because you don't fake that. Doctors do MRIs and stuff like that. So I don't think he's faking it. But wouldn't that be ironic? He has a hamstring issue all the way or almost all the way through the season, and he's an unrestricted free agent next year. I'm just saying. We'll talk about Jamar Chase. He ran his mouth again and said that he feels as though Cincinnati is the best team in the AFC. Now, I understand the confidence. I understand, believing in your team, believing in yourself. But the weapons and the way they played versus supposedly the worst team in the NFL, which I don't think it is. I think the Giants are. The Patriots beat them. And they're supposed to be the best team in the AFC. Mr. Chase, I know you want your money. And if the rumors are correct and you turn down the deal that would have made you tied in pay with Justin Jefferson just because you want to be above Justin Jefferson, I don't know the facts. But if this is true, that says a lot about you, in my opinion. They're willing to lock you up 2 years before they had to. Make you tied for the highest paid. I agree, Chris. People are too greedy. What's up, Chris? Love you, brother. The money will come when they win. And yes, it will. But I want to talk about that too. Hopefully my co-host comes on. If he doesn't, it's okay. Because there's a controversy. This is the other part of the show. There's a controversy in the league. A mistake was made. However, it wasn't a mistake based on what was voted on. I'm going to get into that at the end of the show. If nobody comes on and I do it myself, that's fine. Because I put in the chat, and this shows you the maturity of some people. We can discuss the mistake respectfully. That's the only way to talk about things. But if you want to yell, you want to carry on, it's just going to be like a referee at a football game. You can yak, 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 yak. I'm not going to listen. And at some point, I'm going to throw a flag and shut you up. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. You know, but we'll talk about that towards the end of the show if people decide to come on. I'm not going to beg anybody to come on. I'm not the one with the complaint. They want to complain, they can complain. Wah. That's the way I'm looking at it. Only a few of them, I'm going to be honest, a few people in the league addressed the situation rationally. The issue was brought to me by someone else in the league. And when I saw what happened, I was like, oh, crap. I don't want that to happen as the commissioner. But we'll get into it. Anyway, I'm going to tell Chris this because I didn't call him on purpose this past Sunday. And I haven't addressed Chris. Tampa Bay beat my team. They beat my team. The Buccaneers beat Washington. And I'm going to tell you this. Our secondary couldn't do anything. Our pass rush was okay, but we couldn't grab Baker. I'm afraid of what's going to happen when we got to face Daniel Jones because he's a lot more elusive than Baker. But somebody's got to hit Daniel Jones and hit him hard and hit him often because Malik Neighbors will have a field day if we don't get to this guy. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not afraid of anybody else. Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm not afraid of anybody else on the Giants. But that rookie, he can play. This guy getting the ball. But Chris, and I would love for Tony or Jerry to come on here and eat their words because Baker Mayfield has been balling ever since he left Cleveland. Now, I put something up in the group chat that I'm not going to say who, but someone caught feelings about and thought instead of reading, because reading is fundamental, about Baker and, Watson. Baker's been balling since he left Cleveland, and Watson has been slacking. It's a thing for Baker, but a knock on Cleveland, not Watson, even though there's another allegation. And the person's meeting with the NFL, I believe, today or sometime next week. But somebody, not going to mention no names, got in their feelings about it. Was like, see, you got to. I'm like, no, this is big upping Baker. I'm just saying. I am going to still say Atlanta's going to win that division. Tampa Bay looked really, really good versus Washington, who's young on offense, and that defense hasn't quite got it together yet. But Chris, congratulations on the win. I also picked Tampa Bay to win that game. So nobody can call me a homer. Nobody can say I was rooting for my team, but I picked my team. I'm a businessman. I'm an analyst. Some people just can't take their feelings out of it. I'm just saying, I got my Jahad Dotson shirt on. He's no longer a commander, but I still got the jersey. So, it is what it is. Anyway, let's, since it seems though my co-host isn't coming on today, it's not a problem. He might be running late. I don't know. But let's get to the schedule. It does. Let me see what Chris says first. It doesn't hurt having Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans. Yes. Before I get to the schedule, Tell you something. Tristan Wirth is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. He's got paid as the highest left tackle. And then Trent Williams came in and reworked his deal. Now Trent Williams is. But when you don't have anybody that's going to cover Godwin and our former number 1 overall pick at cornerback, Forbes, is getting smoked every play. Now Forbes is having surgery on the UCL of his thumb, casted up, whatever. I think he's going to be on IR for 4 weeks or so. But you can play corner with a soft cast on. But, this kid's supposed to be fast. This kid's supposed to be a ball hawk. But he's getting burnt a lot. And he's small. He does not have the girth to play against bigger people. He needs to throw on at least another 15 pounds, 15 to 20 pounds. He added 10 pounds this year. I'm just saying. And Mike Evans was getting mauled. I mean, mauled by St. Juice. Refs weren't calling it, but Evans, all he did was catch 2 touchdowns. I mean, you can't stop him. You can't stop him, man. The dude's an animal. Straight animal. Let's get to the schedule, okay? First game of the week, 2 0-1 teams. Now, look. The Raiders surprised me. I'm going to be very honest. The Raiders, they cannot stop the run. They can't. Their backers, Spallone, he's a good backer. He's probably their best backer. But Diablo, he can't get off the block, and he cannot make the tackle. J.K. Dobbins ran all through them like Swiss cheese. To be honest, Gus Edwards had a few, didn't do much. But you knew the Chargers were going to run the ball. You knew it. I don't know what happened with the Raiders. But this week the Raiders got to face the Ravens. Now, do I expect Lamar Jackson to be running around doing all that crazy stuff like he did versus Kansas City, which I don't think he should have done because it seemed like the same game plan they did versus Kansas City in the AFC Championship game last year? I think they're going to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry a lot. I know Harbaugh said we didn't bring him here for 30 carries a game. Well, you might want to give him the ball at least 20 times. Run him. Soften that defense. This is the best team to run against. Their backers can't tackle or shed blocks. Spallone had 10 solo tackles himself. 10. I've got the Ravens whomping the Raiders, man. I don't know what to tell you. I had a lot of high hopes for the Raiders, and I know it's only game 2, but diagnosing the fact that they can't stop the run, and it doesn't seem like they have anybody at the backer level other than Spallone, that's a problem. That's a problem because teams are going to gash them until they get stout in the middle. Defensive tackles, linebackers, strong safety. That's just my feeling on it. So I'm going to pick the Ravens to win that game and probably win it convincingly, especially when it's in Baltimore. Next game, look. Talk about J.K. Dobbins running over the Raiders. He's probably going to get 200 yards versus Carolina. The Panthers are who we thought they were. That defense used to be the best thing about them. That defense is not there. Was it a mistake getting Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud a year and a game in? You could say yes, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's Bryce Young. He made 2 very bad and costly passes in week 1, but I think it's the fact that the Panthers don't have a strong offensive line. If they had a strong offensive line, Chuba Hubbard would be running roughshod over people. He really would be, in my opinion. There's no reason to bring Brooks off of the non-football injury related list until they're ready to run him. Because you put him behind that offensive line, he won't get much. He'll be looking just like Chuba. Bryce has two great weapons at receiver. Thielen, even though he's older, but he's short-handed, and Deontay, who's a very good receiver, but you can't do much when you only get one or two passes. Quarterback's throwing interceptions or he's on his back. This is an easy one, real easy. Lock it. Chargers, I'm going to say by at least 10. By at least 10. And let's see what Chris says. I just read an article this morning about the best and worst organizations. Carolina was the worst. They make their players sit in the back of the plane, three across, while the management sits in first class. But I want to play for them. Full stop. Look, I don't know what they do. But if this is true, can you imagine their offensive linemen? 300-pound dudes sitting side by side by side. Now, accommodations are accommodations, right? David Tepper has been known to not be the best owner in the NFL. He was right behind Daniel Snyder. Now Daniel Snyder's gone, and now he's the worst owner in the NFL, allegedly. I don't care if it's first class or coach, whatever part of the plane it is. You have these big, burly guys. At least let them sit two on a three-person row. I mean, leg room. They played a game. It's tough. Maybe it's a sign from the team, and they just put their best defensive player, which is a defensive tackle, on season-ending IR. So what do you think's going to happen in this game? J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, they're probably going to combine for 200, 250 rushing. And you know Harbaugh loves to run the ball. He's preserving Herbert. Herbert threw the ball, 22, 25 times? And I told you guys last week, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't throw more than 25 passes in the game. They're not going to have to, especially not versus Carolina. Lock it in, put all your money, and I mean all your money, on Carolina to lock this in and lose. It's crazy out here. Next game is a pretty good game, and I'm not going to call it fool's gold because again, New Orleans played a weaker team last week. Played a weaker team. Do you think they're going to do better versus the Cowboys? Now, the Cowboys, don't get me wrong, they're one of the best defenses in the NFL, but it's not as good as it was last year. By my standard. They played Cleveland. The Cowboys defense ended up hurting Njoku, which is a big, big thing. But they sacked Watson 6 times. Jerry Jeudy got a touchdown, okay. Amari Cooper dropped 2 touchdowns that I saw. Ford did decent. But what's up with that defense? They let Dak act stupid on them. That's a problem. But then again, Dallas versus Cleveland's defense. But now Dak's going against the New Orleans Saints defense. Chase Young is acting like Chase Young. But again, week 1, different opponent, maybe not the best and the caliber of play that the Cowboys are going to provide. But this is going to be a good game. You guys know I don't like Dallas. You know I don't like Dallas. But because Dallas is at home and I think they're shaking the rust off a little bit, I think this will be a very, very close contested game. And New Orleans comes up short. Dallas, to me, is the better of the two. Now, listen to what I say when I say this. I really think the Cowboys and the Saints are on the same level. Follow me. You might disagree with me, but follow me. Quarterback play. Dak, in my opinion, is slightly better than Carr. Let's be honest with you. I think Carr makes better decisions with the ball, but Dak has better weapons. Olave was blocking most of the game last week. I think Olave has a chance to have a very good game this week, but it's going to be in the short game, not in the long game. CeeDee Lamb is going to have CeeDee Lamb type plays, but Lattimore can counteract that. Follow what I'm saying? That goes down to Kamara and Zeke. Zeke did well versus Cleveland. He absolutely did. Didn't look like the old Zeke, but he was an effective Zeke versus a very good defense. Kamara looked really good, but again, it was quality of players they played last week. You have to think about that. Is it the talent you have and the ability you have, or is it the fact that you played a team that was well below what you're capable of doing? So you just steamrolled them. So kind of for right now, even. Then we go to the tight ends. Johnson didn't do much for New Orleans, but Ferguson is hurt. That's not good because when things are going to get shaky, Dak likes to go to Ferguson. And if he can't go to Ferguson, the other tight end's good, but he's not as dependable. Kind of even here. Special teams. That's where we're at, special teams. Let me see. I'm getting all these things. I believe Christian McCaffrey has been placed on IR. According to Adam Schefter, Christian McCaffrey has been placed on IR and will not be available until the middle of October. If the old man was here, I would tell the old man, you were right. You were absolutely right. I'm glad I only had the first. I didn't even have the first pick in a league, but I kept Christian McCaffrey in a league. But, and this gets into the fantasy stuff. Once I get to it, again, the old man put me on to Mason because we made a trade in a different league way before everything started. And he put me on to him. And I got him in a lot of leagues for insurance purposes. So if you were here, I'd tell him thank you. But he didn't show up. Anyway, back. That's the breaking news. He's on IR through mid-October. And that's the minimum. So with that being the case, let's finish this game. I'm picking Dallas in a very close game versus New Orleans. Very close game. All right. Next game, barn burner. Now, I expect to see a lot of points in this game, especially with Winfield being doubtful to play. The best DB in football after week 1 is now doubtful to play for Tampa Bay. Tampa travels to Detroit. Detroit said, hold my beer. Y'all want to go overtime? I'm going to give you that Shannon Sharp. I know that was inappropriate, but they gave, I forgot who they played. I forgot who Detroit played Sunday night. But they gave him that Shannon Sharp. in overtime, all the way down the field. And if Tampa Bay had a problem stopping Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler, what do you think is going to happen with David Montgomery and Gibbs? They already put up numbers. Jared Goff averages 300 and some change versus Tampa Bay over the last 5 games. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have a field day. He and Laporta, I want you to listen to me. Laporta and St. Brown did not have very good games last game. They didn't. They only had like a few touches. Jameson Williams, Gibson, and Montgomery ran roughshod. This game, Gibbs, Laporta, St. Brown. Book it. Book it. The over-under is 51. I'm taking the over. It's in Detroit. Mike Evans should have a very good game too. I'm just being honest. I don't know what else to tell you other than it's going to be a barn burner. I'm picking Detroit though. Sorry, Chris. I know you're in Tampa Bay and you're a Bucks fan now, but I got Detroit winning this. Let's say 28-26. I know 26. Let's go 28-25. 28-25. That's 51. So I got to go over. So let's go 30-24. That's a good game. 30-24. I see a lot of scoring in this game. Indy and hold on. Oh my God. I'm gonna tell y'all this person right here. He's a bum. I can't tell you who he is, but I can tell you who he is. I love him because we're on two opposite sides of the spectrum. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. But he's only a jerk because we are both on the political opposite fields, but we really think alike. I honestly love that guy. Thank you for tuning into the show. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out. If you want to do a political show with me, which I know you can't, I welcome you to come on and we'll do a political show. I'm Harris Walls all day. He is an orange machine, whatever. I don't care. But I got something for you, brother. Anyway, Chris says, oh, this is a tough game for sure and close game for sure. So with that being said, I got to give it to Detroit. Next game is the Colts and Green Bay. Now, I would have said this was a close game. Oh, he's not a Bills fan. That guy is not a Bills fan. I don't even know what team he supports. I don't even think he follows football that much. The Bills fan is somebody else. That's Alex Rolls. Alex Rolls is the Bills fan. That person, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get him caught up in anything. He's just that little agitator. He's an agitator. But I love the guy. Anyway, Colts and Green Bay. First of all, Richardson, he had a very good game versus Houston. Was not expecting that, but he ran the ball a lot. He's a big guy, and you don't want to get hurt doing that. You're not going to get hurt. At least I don't think he's going to get hurt running against Green Bay. But here's the thing. Green Bay has Malik Willis at quarterback. Doom, lock it in. The Colts are going to run roughshod over this team. They're going to give Josh Jacobs the ball a lot because they don't want to put the ball in Malik Willis's hands. Green Bay doesn't. I'm telling you, it is not the answer. It is not the answer. Malik Willis coming out of Liberty a while ago was a very, very raw product. And we thought he could be groomed a little bit under Mike Vrabel to be more of a conservative quarterback. maybe that was the wrong place for him to go first. He probably needed to be under the tutelage of a better coach and quarterback to learn how to play the position in the NFL. He is not quarterback ready. Had he sat behind a better caliber quarterback and learned from a better caliber quarterback, Malik Willis, I think, would have been a better product. But Green Bay's chances of going anywhere, as long as he's the quarterback, in my opinion, are zilch. All that talent. I'm predicting a pick six. I really am. Or a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Malik is loose with the ball, and that's not going to endure him to the team or the fans. He got traded to Green Bay at the last week of the preseason. He has really no familiarity with Wicks, Watson, Reed, none of them. And he's not a good quarterback. Colts all the way. So my two locks so far, if you're going to make a parlay, Chargers, Colts. I'm going to give you two more so we get a 14 parlay because I don't think my other co-host is going to come on. He said he was, but I guess he's not. I don't know because two of them are supposed to be here, but it is what it is. All right. Next game. We've got Cleveland at Jacksonville. Look. Jacksonville lost that game to Miami in the middle of the third quarter. They were handling Miami. And we saw what happened between Miami. And I want to talk about the concussion issue with Tua as well. They were handling Miami, and Buffalo just demolished Miami. Jacksonville is a lot better than I thought they would be. But again, that's 1 week. They ended up losing to Miami. They're going against Cleveland. And like Chris says, Doug is on the hot seat in Duval. They got to win. And they got to show that they're competent. Honestly. But Watson is not living up to his end of the deal on that contract. Watson may be gone, and unfortunately, I think the general manager may be gone too, because the general manager is the one that sold the family on getting Watson and paying him all that money. Their return has been dismal. The man got sacked 6 times. Now, is that a product of the offensive line or him holding the ball? He threw, I think, 2 interceptions. One was a deflection, but he did not have a good game whatsoever. He got up off the ground more than he completed passes, probably. Jacksonville, it's scary. I think Jacksonville is a better team, a lot better team than I gave them credit for. It's on the road, and Cleveland isn't the best traveling team. I don't know what the temperature's like. Chris can probably tell me what the temperature's like, but it's a day game in September in Florida. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. But I think Cleveland's going 0-2. I'm going to have them going 0-2. Jacksonville. Next up, we've got San Fran, Minnesota. Now, look, don't let that Sam Darnold fools go versus the Giants fool you, okay? The game was won because of Aaron Jones and the defense. Sam Darnold looked great. That secondary of the Giants, terrible. I don't understand. They put a lot of money in the defensive line. They did. But came up empty. Meanwhile, Saquon runs for 3 touchdowns with Philly. And the safety ends up getting a pick 6 during his game. And the Giants GM said they were okay without both those players. We saw the Hard Knocks. We saw what he said. We also saw what the owner said about losing Saquon. My Randy Orton. I hear voices in my head. They count to me. They understand. They talk to me. Somebody needs to talk to that guy. They need to talk to him. Yeah. Because they're telling him the wrong things to do. Right now, we're looking at a situation where Minnesota is going to get skull drug by San Francisco. Thank you, Chris. My singing is coming along nicely. Liar. San Francisco is going to skull drug Skull Vikes. They're coming off of a high from beating a team that is, in my opinion, the worst team in the NFL. Between them and the Patriots. But the Patriots looked a lot better. So you never know. But they're coming off a high of beating a team that was just not prepared for prime time. And San Fran put CMC on IR. Mason looks like he can carry the load. Look, I think the spread's only like 3.5 or 5. Bet that 5. San Fran's going to win by more than 5. So I gave you the Chargers, the Colts, San Fran covering the spread. And if you're doing a teaser, that means the 49ers are only 1.5 point dogs because you get 6.5 points. So if it's 5 for them now on a teaser, that means if they lose by 1.5, which is 2 points, you push. But if they lose by 1, you win. They're not going to lose this game. Not at all. Not at freaking all. Okay? Moving along. So that's 3 locks I'm giving you. Seattle at New England. Now look, a lot of people, and I tried to make a trade in one of my leagues, and they were like, "Nah, we don't want Zach Charbonnet. Who wants him?" I had a feeling that Walker wasn't going to make it this season, and he's already out week 1. Zach Charbonnet is starting for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not a big believer in Geno Smith. Last week did decently, but not very good. I also think DK Metcalf is not going to have a very good game here. The Patriots shut down Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. Geno getting shut down, y'all. That tells me that either Charbonnet and Lockett are going to have to do some things in the defense because I don't think the Patriots are that good. They just ran into a Cincinnati Bengals team, which has fallen off. If you remember, I said in the summertime, I said the Bengals window of opportunity was closing. It was closing. And it's really, it's like, especially if T. Higgins still has this hamstring issue. If they put T. Higgins on IR, guess what? That window is shut. I'm just keeping it real. But we're talking about the Patriots and Seattle. Gerard Mayo, and Chris, I give you credit. Gerard Mayo, he got those guys ready week 1. Is it sustainable? Because Jacoby Brissett didn't win the game. He managed the game. That's all you need him to do, manage the game. So the Belichick type of play is still there. What do you think, Gerard Mayo, a defensive backer under Belichick? got handpicked by the owner to replace Belichick, wasn't going to play defense. Now, the offense looked widely different than what it was under Belichick because they threw the ball a lot more, but it was a manageable game. They're not going to manage this one. I got Seattle winning by probably like a field goal because I think Gerard Mayo and the Patriots are better than what I thought they would be. But again, also thought Cincinnati would beat them week 1. So, but we'll see. And as Chris says, but you got to remember, Chris is biased. He's a Patriots fan. But I agree. Chris. The special teams and defense looked fantastic. But again, that was against Cincinnati, who was not looking that good. Just keeping it real. Here we go. Just tell me that the Giants and the Panthers are the 2 worst teams in the NFL. They are. The Giants and the Panthers are the 2 worst teams. By the looks of it, the Patriots aren't, but it's only week 1. We'll see. I will say this. The Patriots look more prepared and ready to play than I thought they would. It really did look really good. Let's get into these afternoon games or get close to these afternoon games as we finish out the 1 o'clock games. As we talk about the hold my beer, as we talk about the Titans and the Jets. Now, look, I know San Fran looked really good versus the Jets and Aaron Rodgers and company. So if that was a Super Bowl matchup you were looking for, I thought that was a really good look into what you could expect if that were a Super Bowl matchup. Because Lazard was Lazard. He caught 2 touchdowns, but he also dropped some key passes. Things were working with Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, but then Rodgers, and I understand why Rodgers threw that low ball. He was trying to preserve Garrett's health and hoping he could get it, but DB jumped in on 4th down and knocked it out. Breece Hall looked pretty good. But again, that was the daggone 49ers defense. Tennessee almost beat Chicago. If not for Will Levis. I want you to understand that. Tennessee almost beat Chicago if not for Will Levis, the quarterback. And I have hopes for Will Levis, but not like that. The Jets are going to beat Tennessee. I think Breece Hall is going to have over 100 yards rushing. Garrett Wilson is going to eat him up. I see 100. I said 100, not even 100. I said 100 from Garrett Wilson and a touch or 2. I don't know if Breece is going to get in the end zone on this game, but I do see him being very successful in this game. I really do. The thing about it is, if Breece Hall is running that rock effectively, that play action is going to be there. And if Caleb Williams was a little more careful with the ball, he missed a lot of open players. DJ Moore, Adunzie. He missed a lot of them. So Tennessee's secondary is susceptible to play action, and the defensive style they play leaves pockets. Aaron Rodgers, with 2 receivers he loves and trusts, it's going to be on and popping. Jets all day. That's the fourth game I put in that teaser. Jets, money line. 49ers, spread. Colts and Chargers. 2 more. But that's 4. That's 4. All right. The game that I'm most interested in, and I'm telling you, I'm going to be highly peeved if Washington loses this game to the New York football midgets, giants, small people, can't call them midgets. Look, first of all, Jalen Daniels, lock your chin strap. That's first thing. Lock it. You want to run around and act like you Lamar Jackson? Cool. Lock your chin strap, because I guarantee you somebody's going to take a personal foul. Somebody's going to take a personal foul to knock you out the game. I would take it. That's just me. Call me a dirty player, call me whatever you want. But if I know you're the best quarterback they have on that team, you're running around loosely because you're not sliding and your helmet isn't secured. Oh, you get knocked out the game, son. I will take that personal foul. I will take the fine. Because that means Sam Hartman or the kid from Notre Dame was a good quarterback, but that was in college. It's coming in because Mariota's on IR. And that gives me a way better chance as an organization to win that game. I will take one for the team. So lock your chin strap up, son. Kingsbury called a balanced game, believe it or not. He did. It just so happens that Daniels ran a lot. He's not built for that. He's skinny, long strider, got the wheels, but dude, this is the NFL. Protect yourself. Other side of the ball with the Giants, I'm going to tell you right now, you knock around Mr. Jones, Malik Neighbors doesn't get the ball, end of story. That's their whole offense. Singletary, decent runner. Offensive line is some trash. Pure trash. Wendell Robinson. Okay. Shaky. But if you knock around Jones, Danny Dimes, you take away Malik Neighbors, and it's a wrap. This isn't a homer pick or anything like that. Washington's favored by 1.5 at home, which actually means the Giants are the favorite. Think about that. The home team is usually like a 3-point favorite, not 1.5. But I got to go with my team. Commanders. Got to go with them. That is not a homer pick. I just think Washington is a better overall team. How much better? I don't know. But Dallas is the bottom of the barrel in the NFL, along with Carolina. There you go, Chris. All right. Next game. I'm actually going to be at this game. Me and my buddy from my deployment, Javier Paris, one of my deployments, I should say, hooking up with my boy. We're going to head out to Cardinals, the Cardinals game where the Rams take on the Cardinals. Now, two things, something that concerned me, and it should concern you as a fantasy football owner. Kyler Murray made a statement that was very, very, very concerning. The question was, or roundabout, are you trying to get Marvin Harrison the ball? Kyler says, that's not my job. Now, Kyler, boomer sooner all the way, all day. But, guy, it is your job to get your receivers the ball. It is your job to get him the ball. I understand what you meant by what you said, but it's what you said that caused the problem. What you should have said is, if the plays are called for him, he's my number one read. Well, if the plays aren't called for him, and I see the read open, I'm going to the read. There are 2 plays in that game where Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide, the flip open. Kyler went somewhere else. I don't know if the play took him there or whatever, but that's concerning to me. You spent the 4th overall pick on a game-changing receiver. And mind you, the Cardinals were winning the game before they lost the game. But Kyler, my guy, this is a game where you got to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. Because two things. Puka Nacua is out. I think he's out for the season, actually. That means Cooper Kupp is going to eat. And not only is Cooper Kupp going to eat, but you've got Whittington, the young rookie that was beasting all preseason. He's going to get a chance to eat. Now, Robinson is there. Yes, Robinson might get some passes, but Whittington is going to be this year's Puka. Mark my words. The kid blocks, the kid catches, the kid has acceleration. He's a tough guy. I've already snuck him on one of my teams. I drafted him in another. No, I didn't draft him. I dropped Mims and added him to another team. And if I didn't have solid receivers on my other teams, I'd also pick them up. But I got solid receivers on other teams. So I'm telling you guys, Whittingham is a very sneaky player, especially in this game, because after watching what Buffalo did to Arizona secondary in the second half and Josh Allen running all over him, it's a chance. It's a chance. I know Stafford ain't going to run all over him, but there's a chance they can do this. With that being the case, I got to go with the Rams on this one. I know the Cardinals at home. I know the Cardinals can be explosive, James Conner and all that. But it seems as though they're pulling defeat from the jaws of victory. And that's who Detroit just gave the Shannon Sharp to. They gave the Shannon Sharp to the Rams last Sunday night. So if the Cardinals give the Shannon Sharp to the Rams in this game with James Conner, maybe. But if it becomes a shootout, which I think it will, the Rams are going to win, man. Sorry, they're going to win. We'll see. All right. With that being the case, Pittsburgh at Denver. Look, Pittsburgh's defense and their kicker beat Atlanta, along with Kirk Cousins. Kirk threw several interceptions. But I got to make this clear, y'all. It was not Justin Fields. Justin Fields is not the answer. Pittsburgh is what Atlanta was last year, relying on the defense and their kicker. Najee had a good game. Congratulations. Jaylen Warren, he might just be the passing down back. He wasn't used that much, which was interesting to me. But with Justin Fields, I can expect that. Denver played Seattle rather closely in Seattle. Bo Nix looked pretty good. He's a rookie quarterback. I don't expect him to go out there and throw for 1 billion yards and win the game, but he almost did. He almost did in Seattle. Now Pittsburgh comes to Denver. I do not like Pittsburgh in this game. It's my upset. It's my upset special of the week. I got Denver beating Pittsburgh. I really do. And I think even with that vaunted defense of Pittsburgh, they're not going to score enough points to beat Denver in Denver. It's going to be a field goal game, in my opinion. Now, fantasy value in this game. This is something we normally do I'm going to leave that up to JT, but he's not here. Is Najee, Pickens, Fields, or anybody else other than the kicker and defense for Pittsburgh worth playing? Nope. Boswell in defense. I actually benched Pickens in favor of I forget who I benched him for, but I benched him in one of my leagues because I'm like, dude, until Russell get in there, I'm not messing with him. He got, 2 or 3 passes, a long one, which is like 40-something yards, and then the rest were like a couple short ones and dirt balls. Mike Tomlin's 1-0, but you need Russ in there, baby. And I know they're saying keep Fields in there, whatever, but the more you keep him in there, the more that pick turns into a 5th rounder, which isn't much, but considering, he's not the reason why you're winning, he's the reason why you're not losing. There's a difference. But I got Denver in my upset. Excuse me. Then let's talk about Cincinnati, Kansas City. At the top of the show, I said Jamar Chase running his mouth. Jamar, you can't be running your mouth, bro. I know L'Jarius Sneed's not there, but that defense looked pretty good opening night versus Baltimore. Pretty damn good. Isaiah Likely went off. So what does that mean? Is Mike Gesicki going to go off? I don't know. Speculation of Joe Burrow's wrist because the way he picked up the bottle and the fact that he couldn't really get the ball to Jamar. I'm putting that on the fact that I'm double teaming Jamar. I'm making Laviscus beat me. I'm making Zach Moss beat me. And neither could do it. And Joe threw like a couple interceptions against the Patriots, who were suspected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, who actually won the game. You're going against Worthy? Let me run this down. Because compared to what the Patriots had versus what Kansas City had or has and what they can do. Xavier Worthy going to run by everybody that's secondary. Rashee Rice can play physical and get the ball. Travis Kelce, who didn't even have a good game, didn't get the ball till like second half. Isaiah Pacheco. And the defense. Look. This is my 5th game in the 16 teaser. It's 6.5 points that they're favored by. That means it's 0. So Kansas City just has to win the game for a win. Or a tie happens. Kansas City gonna whoop the crap out of Cincinnati. They're gonna whoop the crap out of them. All right. Next game, which is my so I gave you 6. This game right here, Sunday Night Football, Chicago at Houston. I'm going to tell you, Caleb Williams did not win the game for Chicago. Will Levis did. That pick 6. The defense of Chicago stepped up in the second half. They stopped Tony Pollard. And then the ball couldn't get moved. But Caleb Williams made a lot of rookie mistakes. He escaped the pocket a lot and he did some wonderful things, but he just didn't have the touch. He just didn't get the ball to the receivers in the right places. He missed a lot of open players that could have been big plays. But Chicago's offensive line is garbage. Garbage. I expect the Neil Hunter. I expect Wilson. I expect that defense to have a field day versus the Bears offense. Now, flip it around. My guy, CJ Stroud, he had a horrible game versus the Colts. And I'm going to say horrible game, even though they won the game and his numbers didn't look that bad. But he threw several interceptions that got called back for defensive penalties. Understand what I'm saying? If not for a little tug, literally a little tug, he would have threw 3 interceptions in that game that counted. I think he only got 1 interception that counted. But he threw the ball to the defense 3 times, and they got it. If not for Joe Mixon running the ball 30 times, Stephon Diggs getting the ball a little bit, it's going to be tough because Chicago's defense isn't that bad. They figure out in the second half, but it depends on what the Houston Texans do in the first half to Chicago, because that defense has got to get rowdy. That defense has got to go after Caleb and stop the run. I also noticed that Chicago didn't use DeAndre Swift as much as they could have because he was on in the first quarter. Then he was in and out of the game in the second, didn't play much of the third, and then came back in the fourth. I'm like, dude, you just paid this man some money. Use his ass. But I'm going to pick the Houston Texans on the strength of their defense, making plays and causing problems for the rookie. We'll see what happens, but I got the Houston Texans. Last game of the week, Monday night. We all know, we literally all know what Kirk Cousins is after 4 p.m. We know. Now, here's the deal, man. He can't perform again like he did last week. Pittsburgh's defense is stellar. It is stellar, right? Philly's defense is not. Now, I'm going to say the field in Brazil was terrible because it was slipping and sliding all over the place. But those wide receivers were wide open. Wide open. Drake London, Pitts, Darnell Mooney, and the rest of those guys should eat up that secondary. They should eat them up. Should. But then you got to deal with freaking Saquon, AJ, Slim Reaper. It's the home opener in Philly. And just for clarity, AJ Brown has been downgraded to questionable. I don't know what injury took place. I haven't read it yet, but I do have the notification that AJ Brown is now listed as questionable. That's a tough thing to do because if he really is legit questionable, do you take him out of your lineup because it's a Monday night game and put in another receiver, knowing he's your number one, right? Depending on how you draft it, if you have 4 dogs, and you have to, like in one league, I've got Garrett. I had CeeDee Lamb, but I traded him away. I've got Garrett. I've got London. I've got Ayuk, and I got Rashee Rice. I can only start 3. So London's on the bench, even though I got Kirk Cousins because I wanted that stack. But I'm able to Brandon Ayuk is the other receiver. So I got Ayuk in over London because I'm like, I got 4 dogs. I don't know what's going to happen Monday night, especially with Kurt. But I'd rather play those other 3 over Drake, knowing that Philly's secondary is some garbage, than take a risk of putting them in the game and Philly's secondary decides to play better because the field conditions are better. I'm going to say the field conditions in Brazil played a little bit of a reason as to why the receivers were open, wide open. But then again, you never know. I got to go with Philly in this game. I hate to say Atlanta's going to start off 0-2, but it's at home, at night, and Kurt doesn't turn into a werewolf. He turns into a pussycat. It just happens. He literally turns into a pussycat when it's freaking, after freaking 4. I think he's only like won 1 or 2 games after 4 p.m. in his career. And he's at 10-year career. Call it as I see it. But that wraps up the schedule for this week. Hopefully you got it. Let me recap my picks for your ticket. I've got the Chargers and the Colts. 49ers covering the 5.5. I've got, did I put the Jets in there? Let me see. Yeah, I've got the Jets and Kansas City. And I believe I picked the Rams. Hold on, let me make sure I got all my games. Baltimore, Chargers, Colts, 49ers, Jets, and Kansas City. Those are my 6 pick parlays for you. Hopefully they hit and you go to the ticket window. I plan to. We'll see what happens. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite sure now the controversy is going to kick in because I'm going to talk about some stuff. And whether these guys come on or not, it matters not. I just ask if they do come on that they be respectful. It's common courtesy, right? So in the Neighborhood Street Football League, I'm a benevolent commissioner. That doesn't mean I'm being, hey, you can have. No, it means I listen to the owners when they want to make changes. Well, every year there's some uproar about some rules changes, and then we vote and we make the change. Then people complain about the rules changes. This year, one of the changes were we went from a free agent budget where you got to bid on the people you want based upon how much money you got, and highest bidder wins. Right? I love that system because it's fair and equitable. But I got some complaints about it last year, and so I put it up for vote. Right? The league voted it down. They wanted the lowest ranked person to the highest ranked person in the waivers. Okay. So I go into the system and I change it to that. Unbeknownst to me, there are 2 different versions of this style. I just picked the one that said, lowest to highest. Okay. Just so happens I lost my game and I had the lowest score for week 1. So I became number 12, which meant I was the first one to pick on the waiver wire. Now, I prioritize my people who I want, right? Set it, forget it. Waivers go through Wednesday, I think. Tuesday, Wednesday, whichever. I think it was Wednesday because Tuesday is when people get to make selections. So we'll go through Wednesday. And I didn't check to see, who got what or whatever the case may be or how they got it. I got players. I was like, damn, okay. So one of the owners, who happens to be one of my best friends in the world, he hits me up and says, hey, man, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. I said, what are you talking about? So I look, and he tells me, hey, you got da-da-da. I said, yeah, I don't know, whatever. So then I look and see what's going on, and he tells me it looks like you got everything you wanted, then the next person got what they wanted, the next person got what they wanted, and then so on and so forth. So there's 2 different settings for lowest to highest. I didn't know this. I did not know this. And what confirmed it was that the last person to pick ended up like me, getting multiple players at their turn. I didn't know. So I go in, I see that there are 2 different ones. I change it from what it was that got voted on to what I felt was better and equitable, which was rolling. I didn't know that I needed to select rolling in order for it to be bottom to up. I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't. So I go in and change it. And instead of me not admitting that there was an error made, I go in the league chat and I say, hey, thanks to this person, it was brought to my attention. I changed the waiver thing to something that's more fair and equitable. I didn't know it was this, that, and the third. It begins in week 2, right? So I'm remedying the situation. Well, little did I know that wasn't going to suffice for some people. No, because we want, I'm like, guy, a mistake was made. I fixed it going forward. I'm not going to make everybody drop their players, nonetheless me, to accommodate you bitching. I get it. I ended up getting, I'll tell you who I got. I got Isaiah Likely, J.K. Dobbins, and the Chargers defense. That's because I had it prioritized, right? And the people that were highly complaining about it wanted those players. The problem is all of them are in the top half of winning. So they wouldn't have, well, except for one. They wouldn't have seen them. They wouldn't have seen any of those players, right? Now, a couple of them approached me respectfully, and I listened to what they were saying, and it was fair, and I said, okay, I was thinking about it. But then a couple people had to come out and go, like it's their God-given right for me to change and drop all players and then reset it. No. Because some of these players, or most of the players that were complaining, are always the ones complaining about changing. Just leave the rules where they are. Why you always got to change something every year? Because I listen to you guys. And when I decide I'm not going to listen to you, but I make a correction, oh, he just BS. He's trying to cheat. No. Just because I'm not changing it the way you want it to be, so that, literally one or two of the players that were selected that I got become available, doesn't mean that I'm trying to screw somebody over. I'm not. That was what the rule was. Unfortunately, the one that was selected was the incorrect one. Now, some of you might say, well, what's the harm in resetting it? Two things. One, that means if I reset it and it's for that one day, not everybody that I take from their team is going to know that I took it from their team, because not everybody goes onto the chat and sees what goes on. Last thing they saw was they put a waiver wire request in and they got the player. Every league has people that plays but doesn't interact in the chat. For example, the polls I put out, I sent the email to everyone. I did a league email. I posted the notification on the league message board, in the league manager notes. what, 3 people said they didn't see not one of those things. It's not my fault they didn't see it. But for a week, I said this was going on. But they didn't vote, or they didn't get a chance to vote because they didn't see it. So should I have canceled out those other people that did because you didn't see it and you didn't vote? No. Same way here. I cannot penalize everybody that made and got the waiver wire picks that they got based on the rule that was in place. Why am I going to put them at a disadvantage? Because if they don't see that this took place, they're not going to get a shot at filling that position that they just lost. But others don't view it that way. And that's fine. They don't got to view it that way. But you have got to look at the whole picture. You got to. It's not just to make this person happy, that person happy. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything like that. I'm thinking about everybody. And sometimes when you think about everybody, some people get hurt in the process. Honestly, they do. So, as I said, from week 2 on, we're going to the system of rotation. Now, what I can do if the league continues to complain is say, I don't care what y'all want. I'm going to take it back to Fab. One of the owners said, Vic, just do what you want to do. It's your league. And for a while, I resisted that thought process because I'm like, no, I want to be, I want to make sure everybody's good. But by trying to make everybody good, there's always somebody complaining. But now he's right. He's right. So next year, there's only be 2 votes. Not even 2 votes. Because the champion is going to be able to pick one rule they want to change. The only thing they're really going to get the vote on is the date of the draft and the payout. That's it. That's it. Everything else is going to be the way I want it, minus the champion one rule change. That will prevent all this, well, you're changing this, you're changing that. And then, yes, I made a mistake. I admit I made a mistake. And the way I remedied that mistake was going back to a very, very old system that I thought I had selected. Now, again, if that bothers people, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not going to penalize everybody else just because some people are upset. If you're not thinking about the other 4 managers that got their players, at least 2 of them, I know for sure, don't check in on the message board. They don't. They're on that message board maybe once or twice the entire year. And when they go to set their lineup Sunday and see that I took a player away from them that they got through the actual rule that was in place, that's another storm I got to fix. So if you don't understand that, I'm sorry. I really am. And I would say about 95% of the league has been in one of my leagues for the last 20 years. I went back to my Yahoo history. I've been doing Yahoo since 99. It's 2004. I did ESPN a lot longer than that. So I'm an upfront, honest type of guy. Some people like it, some people don't. But just because you're not happy with the outcome doesn't mean I got to bend over backwards to make you feel comfortable. Same thing here. The COVID season, I was in a championship with one of the people that's complaining. Now, I could have done what most people did, which was just chop the pot for the champion. because Yahoo gave us the league manager's ability to do that. I said, no, let me be fair. We'll go by the points. And whatever points the players get during the following week, even though it's not our playoff. But then they were like, no. So what I did was I awarded the championship to the guy I played because he had more points at the time. We both had two players that needed to play, but they couldn't because that's when DeMar Hamlin had his issue. And, you know, I gave him, in my eyes, a half a championship. You know, that's why I call him half champ. And I got the other half. But I thought that was fair and equitable, right? You can't make everybody happy. You can't. You can't. So, with that being said, none of them have come on. I've invited them all on. I've given them all the link to join in. Two of them said they were coming on. They have not. I'm probably getting called all types of jerks and all this other. It's okay. It's okay. All I ask is that you come on and be respectful. And if you cannot be respectful, don't come on. And I see what my answer was. So, they called me Caesar. They said, authoritarian. I mean, now they're going to get that. That's what's going to happen. It's about to be authoritarian league. If I want to make a change, I'm going to make a change. If I don't want to make a change, I'm not going to make a change. That's the way it's going to be. I'm just being honest. I've tried to be accommodating, you know. And I even owned up to my mistake. Because think about this. Had I not said anything and I just let it roll, that would have been so bad. I would have been called all types of things. Because nobody said anything until my boy said something. And nobody said anything about it until I made the announcement that there was an error. See, George, this is what happens when people tell the truth. This is a different conversation. Y'all not going to get it. But this is what happens when people tell the truth up front. You deal with the crap up front and not the back end. That goes to a totally different conversation that is political. So I got a laugh. Hopefully he got a laugh out of it too. But anyway, with that being said, I'll be here next week during week 3. If I got to do it alone, I'll do it alone. It's not a problem. I would love to have my co-hosts. They're welcome to come. If they don't want to come, that's fine. That is fine. But it also shows a level of maturity. Now, if something happened, they can't make it, cool. But they forget, I can see who's watching. So it is what it is. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's called Fantasy Sports and Politics. And I'm all about it, baby. You want to go political? Let's go. You want to do some fantasy football or sports? Let's go. I actually want to talk about UFC, but I don't have my resident UFC guy to give you the information. I'm not sure who's going to win tonight at UFC Noche at is it called the Globe or the Ball or something like that? It's supposed to be one hell of a night of fights. I'm going to watch those as well. With that being said, I appreciate you guys. Hopefully I see you next week. And hopefully I have somebody to talk to other than myself. And Chris, thank you for chiming in, brother. Always love you. Always appreciate you. Mala for Vets. Go check them out. Got a great shirt, too. I wore it like 3 or 4 days straight. I know that's kind of nasty. but award is very comfortable, very, very comfortable. And it showed me that color green is a color that looks good on me. So Mala for Vets, go check them out. Got some great merch and some good mindful meditation type stuff. But we'll see you next week. Oh man, the audio. We're gonna do that again.
Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Get ready to rumble!
You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
Remember,
face.
because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Oh!
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about